Continuing with the voice recordings of the beautiful literature of Sri Vallabh Acharya ji. This is the 9th Granth or treatise in the 16, in the Shodash Granth. Sri Acharya ji taught this treatise to Bhagwan Das Sanchora, who was the Bhitariya ji or the inner servant cook, etc., inside Sri Nathji's Haveli at that time. In this treatise, the Pushtimargi view on the 4 human pursuits, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, has been given in 4 verses. In the path of grace, one's Dharma is to serve the Lord, one's Artha, wealth, is the Lord himself, one's Kama, desire, is simply to see and meet the Lord in one's heart, and Moksha or liberation consists in establishing a firm relationship with, and thus belonging entirely to the Lord. Human pursuit in every faculty is centered on the beloved or beloveds, and no one and nothing else. Such is this essential message expressed so succinctly in this work. I repeat that. The Pushtimargi view on the 4 human pursuits, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, has been given in the 4 verses. In the path of grace, one's Dharma is to serve the Lord. One's Artha is the Lord himself. One's Kama or desire is simply to see and meet the Lord in one's heart. And Moksha consists in establishing a firm relationship with, thus belonging entirely to the Lord. A firm relationship in this way that one is free from every other attraction in the material world. Verse 1. Sarvada sarvabhavena bhajaniyo brajadhipaha swasyayameva dharmo hi nanyakvapi kadachana. Sarvada sarvabhavena bhajaniyo brajadhipaha swasyayameva dharmo hi nanyakvapi kadachana. The Lord of Vraj should be served and adored always and with every divine sentiment. This is your only true dharma, your righteous path. There is no other, anywhere or ever. Tika 1. Always and with every heartfelt sentiment, Sri Krishna, the Lord of Vraj, is to be served and adored. This Lord lives within the heart of a devotee and from there accepts that devotee's seva. In this way, at every single moment, the relationship between the Lord and his devotee is forged. The meaning of with every divinely oriented sentiment is that the devotee's body, senses, life force, spouse, offspring, wealth, in fact, everything belongs to the Lord himself. This kind of sentiment or bhav removes false ego and possessiveness. Whatever the loving mood of the devotee towards the Lord, such as that of husband, son, protector, beloved, in fact, whatever the feeling, the Lord fully reciprocates this. The reason is that he is the Lord of Vraj, where he, the most compassionate, has accepted as his own the cows, gopis, cowherds, all of whom have no other means than the pure love for him. Therefore it is certain that one single true righteous path is to serve him alone. Nowhere and ever is there any other dharma. The Vaishnava way is to sustain and maintain this relationship with the Lord. Everything else is a false path. If an embodied soul catches hold of the Lord, who is the very form of dharma, with firmness and love, then the righteous and true path is automatically perfected. I add in this sentence that this is why, even to this day, the principles and practices of the Sri Pushti Margaha are so exacting and so demanding, very, very, very precise, and therefore one is taking at every moment a good look at one's behavior. Verse 2. Evam sadasma kartavyam swayameva karishyati Prabhu sarva samartho hi tato nischintam bhajet Evam sadasma kartavyam swayameva karishyati Prabhu sarva samartho hi tato nischintatam vrajet. He will always fulfill his own duty by himself, for he is all-powerful. Therefore live without anxiety. Tika 2. The embodied soul's duty is to always serve the Lord. When the soul maintains their righteous duty, then the Lord himself also performs his required actions through his own wish. He is endlessly capable, and he grants his faithful and exclusive devotees unlimited bliss. This can only be known through experience. Therefore, one should only ever worry about correctly serving and adoring the Lord. In worldly matters, artha, we may have chinta or anxiety, but in divine matters we have only chintan, consideration. If one depends on one's own means to gain wealth, then those activities performed in this mood are wrought with obstruction and faults. If, however, we act only in order to attain the Lord, then since he is all-capable, he will certainly come to us. In worldly activities there is no lack of anxieties, because the reward of any activity cannot come to us by itself. Grace is the Lord's own form, and when he grants his grace, only then can an embodied soul properly perform their duties. If, on the other hand, the embodied soul's mind is overtaken with the idea of fruitive activity or sadhana, then they cannot perceive the Lord as present in his tangible form. And subsequently, neither the Lord's form will be present nor his seva. In this way, for Pushtimargi souls, those on the path of grace, only the Lord alone is one's wealth. This should be understood. Verse 3. Note, in this third verse, the third human pursuit or desire will be described according to the principles of the path of grace. Yadi Shri Gokuladhisho Dhrudha Sarvatmana Hridi Tata Kimaparam Bruhi Lokikairvedikerapi. Yadi Shri Gokuladhisho Dhrudha Sarvatmana Hridi Tata Kimaparam Bruhi Lokikairvedikerapi. If Sri Krishna, the Lord of Gokul, is firmly established in one's heart with every loving kind of feeling, or every kind of loving feeling, then pray tell, can there be anyone who can exceed this Supreme Lord, who fulfills every desire? Tika 3. Here Sri Acharyaji is teaching that if an embodied soul keeps the Lord, Sri Krishna, the Lord of Gokul, the Lord of the senses of the Vraja Gopis, and other Vraja devotees who are motivated only by love, with every kind of loving feeling like that of a husband or child, etc., constantly and deeply ensconced in their heart, then for them pray tell, how can there be room for any other higher than him, who fulfills every desire? Desire resides in the heart. If one has the Lord established there, then for that devotee, just how can there be room for preference and longing for worldly and scriptural affairs? That devotee is replete with the bliss of the Lord of their very life. All other desires are completely perfected simply by having the sole desire to see him. Verse 4. Ata sarvatmana shasvat gokuleshwara padayoho smaranam bhajanam chapi natyajyam matime matihi. Ata sarvatmana shasvat gokuleshwara padayoho smaranam bhajanam chapi natyajyam matime matihi. Thus you should always serve and unceasingly remember, serve and adore the lotus feet of the Lord of Gokul, never giving up. This is my opinion. Thus you should always and unceasingly remember, serve and adore the Lord of Gokul, never giving up. This is my opinion. Tika 4. This verse describes the Pushti point of view on the fourth pursuit or moksha, liberation. Here in this verse, Sri Acharyaji describes how, once the Lord of Gokul is established in your heart, you should thereafter endlessly and with every kind of loving sentiment remember and worship his lotus feet. This relationship with the Lord is the true liberation above which there is nothing. They should always be served like a healing herb which keeps you away from and shields you from being overtaken by a negative and demonic mindset, bringing liberation. You should never ever abandon them. This is Sri Acharyaji's clear instruction. The meaning here of his lotus feet is, his right foot represents the lawful limitation and the left represents pure grace. In other words, an embodied soul should, in the first instant, adopt and live according to the rules of one's lineage, because if a soul becomes proud and breaks the rules, then they can fall down. When the Lord grants special grace and, with his ultimate power of love, gives his blessings whereby you may experience a loving relationship with him, then alone you may be delighted and satisfied. Remembrance is a function of the mind, therefore unceasingly remember the Lord's lotus feet. The body and the senses should also be constantly employed in his worship or seva. Sri Acharya ji has in these 4 verses explained the very essence of his principles in order to shower his blessed grace upon divine souls. Thus concludes the 4 verses, the 9th treatise of the 16, Chatuhsloki. Jai Jai Sri Acharya ji ki Jai Ho.